Hello and welcome back. Eddie Radosevich, Bob Przybylo, George Stoya here from the SoonerScoop.com studios. Spring football, fellas, right around the corner. We'll be meeting with Brent Venables on Wednesday afternoon to kind of, open things up, if you will. But it's a good time to be joining Sooner Scoop. Obviously, all of the content that we do right here on the YouTube channel. We also have a website, SoonerScoop.com, and we'll have plenty of football happenings here over the next month or so. They'll practice for about a week and then take spring break, and then all of a sudden it's full-fledged spring ball. But first things first, what an incredible game for the University of Oklahoma basketball team. I don't know if it was incredible just in terms of what it was. It was a terrible
the first 10
game.
minutes were not great.
It was
maybe
an
the first
awfully interesting game, if that makes any sense. But at the end of the day, 74-71, Oklahoma storms back, wins in overtime, a game that, we'll get into plenty of what happened or what didn't happen. But, Bob, we talked about, I don't want to degrade anybody, but that might have been one of the worst games by an Oklahoma starting point guard that I've ever at least seen in person. They're able to get through that, the J.V. McCollum injury. At the end of the day, though, they are left standing. They get to the 20 win total, and it seemed like it seems big. It seems like that's a big moment for the program.
It seemed like everything that we had said in the last 3-4 weeks, get to 20 and you're okay. The team actually believes it too. Like, you can just see that sense of relief. It's like, we are in. We don't have to politic. I think you saw that last night.
We'll hear from Porter here in a little bit.
It's not like Porter was trying to state the case. Like, we're in. Like, you can ask me this question, but I'm not concerned this year. We are in. And, they won their last two games so far in overtime, by 2 and by 3. No one cares this time of year. Just as long as you win, and somehow they found a way to right the ship and get it going, even though realistically only 3 players really showed up for the better part of the entire game, and they got the job done.
Those 3, Latrey Darthard leading Oklahoma with 18 points. Rivaldo Suarez, 16 points. Jalen Moore had 16 points. And when you talk about a team effort, and especially with the J.V. McCollum news, that I think was a surprise to just about everybody.
We talked to him Monday.
Considering we had talked to him on Monday, seemed to be in good spirits, had a shoulder injury Monday at the walkthrough / practice. And, Porter kind of went into it, and we'll hear from him kind of explaining the situation. But we talked about it last week on the Hoops Report, guys, just in terms of going through Ames, then having to come back and play Houston, having the heartbreak that was the physicality that they had over these last 9 days was extremely tough. And to just get out of it breathing, it seems like is a win in and of itself.
They survived. They got through it. I don't know what they have left for Austin against Texas on Saturday. I've suggested half jokingly, hold some guys out, just try to get healthy compared to what you've gone through during the last couple weeks. But I know people look at it and they weren't impressed, and it was an ugly game, but we know full well this is a game 2 years ago, last year, they don't win. And it's just that one last box to check to say this team is different and this team's making the tournament.
It's incredible, too, when you talk about just the way that they were able to do it, getting down in the game, having to fight back not only in the first half to just be able to breathe going into halftime, but coming out of the second half, Cincinnati goes on the big run. And you thought, especially coming out 27-26, you thought, okay, you can kind of take control of the game. It went the opposite way.
Yes.
To get all of that together and then to find a way to win, I don't know. It wasn't the biggest win by any means in the history of the Lloyd Noble Center, but it might have been one of the most important wins in just the current era of what the Oklahoma basketball program is, because I think that you'd be headed down to Austin or up to Kansas City next week in a much different tone had you not been able to get through there last night.
You would need at least one during this next week, and now you're just helping your seeding with any win from this point forward. You're no longer worried about inclusion. It's just about where you're going to end up seeding. And you mentioned it's 18-5, and then it's 28-27 Bearcats at halftime. Then it's 43-33. And you're like, they learn nothing at halftime. They come out just as dull and ugly in the initial minutes of the second half, and they just willed them. So they got to the free throw line just like crazy, and they didn't just get there. They made as many clutch free throws as they've had throughout the entire season. Latrey Darthard, Jalen Moore, even Mox got into the act with five in a row. I mean, they just willed themselves. If their shots weren't falling, because they didn't shoot that great,
Sure.
it's like, we're going to find a way to get to the basket and get to the free throw line.
How bad was the crowd last night?
It was awful. I was
on
about to
TV,
say.
it looked really bad.
I was
on
about
TV.
to say that you were one of the many people that weren't in attendance at the Lloyd Noble Center
true.
last night. What was it taking in that experience like on television? Because
It
was about as agonizingly entertaining in a way as you could possibly get.
The second half was pretty entertaining. The first half, man, that was some
The first
ugly
half of the
basketball.
first half.
Yes,
They
I mean,
scored
that-
five.
man.
They scored 5 points in the first 11 minutes of the
it
game.
was
Yes.
it was brutal, and I was just like, man, they are just kind of pissing away their
Sure.
season. That's what I was just like, and I get it. McCollum's out, and he makes the thing go in a lot of ways, but I was just like, Uzan looked like he forgot how to play basketball. Owe was
Monstars.
bad. But I think that it says a lot about Suarez. He's the heart and soul of this team right now.
100%.
Darthard, who really hasn't had a great season, to come up clutch these last two games. He's played
33
really
in
well.
the last two games.
33, 15.
He's been really good.
That's funny. I know we're not going to talk too much about Houston, but Kelvin Sampson, I don't even know who Darthard is.
Yeah.
He's the guy that's like, who is this guy? He came
was-
from nowhere.
You talk about a team effort and something that they absolutely needed. That's what it was on Tuesday night, 74-71. Here is Porter Moser, Latrell Darthard, as well as Rivaldo Suarez talking about the big win.
Just one of the guttiest performances I've seen under the circumstances. You just look at the circumstances with senior night, with, obviously every game's huge. In 9 days, we played 3 of the most physical teams in the country. At Iowa State, Houston, and Cincinnati in 9 days with these guys. Then they find out they lose Javion. Then Los fouls out. We're playing with no point guard. Mox came in and did a good job, man. He helped, but the guts of Rivaldo, those guys are on the floor at the end, to find a way to win. We came out and got kind of punched in the face. And I think we gave up 14 points in the first 4.5, 5 minutes, and then we gave up 14 points the last 15. We settled back down. The belief in these guys, that they believe in what they're doing and winning, but it was just guts.
Well, that means a lot. This game was up and down, as you've seen. We started off slow. So that just shows that we're battle-tested. We can fight through anything. This team has heart. We fight, so I like it.
I took belief away from it. Even in the Houston game, just every timeout, every huddle, just that sense of belief. And I don't really got too many words. It's like inexplicable. Like this feeling with your brothers. Like I started tearing up coming into the locker room because last home game, that just meant so much.
But just to find a way, I know I'll get asked about how the locker room was. I just got asked on radio. You asked me how was the locker room after the Houston game, and I said gutted. These guys are investing. They are so passionate about winning. And it was emotional in there just now. With joy, with exhaustion. They laid it, I said before the game, I said sometimes after a game, you say, God, if we could have got one more basket, one more stop, one more rebound, And I said before this game, I go, but tonight we're going to get one more stop. We're going to get one more rebound. We're going to get one more basket. And those guys just fought so hard with crazy circumstances. 9 days in a row, we just went. 9 days in a row against 3 of the most physical defenses in the country. And I couldn't be more happy for those guys. I'm just happy for them because they left it all on the floor tonight.
How the hell did they get this done? You look at a lot of things within the game. Cincinnati kept them around. I think a better basketball team would have put Oklahoma to bed in the first half. Rivaldo Suarez went on the run in the first half to kind of get them back going offensively, getting anything going offensively. And then you look up in the second half, and I truly don't know if I've ever seen this before. 4 separate trips down. Starting at the 8:57 mark, Latrell Darthard's fouled shooting at 3. At the 8:14 mark, Latrell Darthard fouled shooting at 3. At the 6:51 mark, Max Clinching, who I literally knew was on the team. He hadn't played a whole lot. He was forced into a little bit of action a couple weeks ago against Kansas. He's fouled, makes all 3 free throws. And then one more time, just for good measure, at the 4:14 mark, Rivaldo Suarez fouled and knocks down all 3 free throws. 12 points that Oklahoma was able to get to the charity stripe. And it seemed like it kind of gave them a little bit of a breath
It did.
be able to say we can't get back into this.
Because they weren't making shots, but they made them all at the line and just slowly crept their way back into it. And then finally the confidence started to be there. You know, they still had to try to navigate the entire game with Los just, you know, playing, like we've said, you know, the worst game that he's ever played. And so you could see them trying to figure out who needs to be running point, and just seeing between Latre and Moore and Sora, just like, take your pick. Now it's your turn to try to make something happen. And those guys just had enough, you know, will, enough skill to try to, you know, get things accomplished.
I thought Los was trying to throw the game at one point. I was just like, he had a couple.
I know we joke about it a lot.
We joked a lot about
some
it
of the
Tuesday
shots
night.
that he threw up last night or on Tuesday night. It just 1 for 10, 0 for 2 from 3. Got into the foul trouble early in the game.
With
Had
bad
2
ones.
early,
Terrible fouls.
And then
like
he picked
30
up-
feet away from the basket.
and he picked up 3 and 4 almost immediately out of halftime. I don't know.
Turnover.
And
that,
I think
that
that
fast break was really bad too. I think it was
Yeah,
a
when he-
fast break
Yep.
late in the game. and
one of
all you have
his
to do
4
is-
turnovers.
All
on
you
the
have to
night.
do is just get fouled even there going up, and
Sure.
he just gets stripped of the ball, and it's like, what is he doing?
And I think it was also kind of inflated as well because of the Javier McCollum injury. You needed a point guard. I mean, listening to Porter talk about what they were having to do at the end of the regulation period with Otega Owe.
I'm scared because that's exactly what I said. I go, they got to go to Otega just because he's athletic enough to get there in 3
And by all means,
three
it was
seconds.
it was a good look.
It
They got
was.
down the floor, and it was a good look. Didn't fall, but even late in the game, I mean, you have Darthard basically having to run the point guard in a situation that they never prepare for, thinking that both of their point guards are going to be out of the game.
Yeah, and just that pace of play that we all loved Saturday, that everyone across the country enjoyed, it just wasn't there. And a lot that was with Los on the floor too. Tuesday his dribbling wasn't with intent. It was just to dribble the ball and just to run the clock. There was none of that urgency or, you know, trying to get things going. It was just a very strange night for him, and one that, you know, obviously he has to flush. And I don't know what Porter needs to say to him, try to get him back on track, but that's the number one guy you circle going into Texas.
When you look at the 3 seniors, we'll talk about Rivaldo Suarez specifically, but Darthard with 41 minutes. Suarez plays 39 minutes.
And
Jalen Moore, not a senior, but part of that group that had a really good night. He played 38 minutes. I don't know. I think you said it best, George. Rivaldo Suarez is the heart and soul of this basketball team right now.
I think it's just when things have gone awry the last few weeks, he's the guy that they've kind of turned to.
Sure.
And I think that, you know, if you can get him healthy, then they can go on a little bit of run. And I think Darthard, I know that they didn't play well yesterday, but if Darthard can keep playing like that, you get Uzan back on track, you get McCollum healthy, that's a pretty salty team. But yeah, I think Suarez has been Jalen Moore all year has played, I think, really hard, and he's a key part of what they're doing.
He's the energy bug.
But I think Suarez has become the unquestioned leader of this group moving forward.
No doubt. Porter Moser talked about Rivaldo Suarez and kind of what has been an endeavor for him coming from Oregon. It was something that he has talked about basically from day one, Bob, trying to get to the NCAA tournament. Here is Porter Moser after the game talking on Suarez as well as Rivaldo, kind of talking about that dream maybe becoming a reality.
Man, I tell you, our relationship has come so far with Waldo. I mean, just to see him fight through some things. And I told him one time earlier when he was struggling, I said, you know what's crazy is you and I are a lot alike. Like we talk about it. Sometimes that's why we were clashing a little bit earlier. And he's just so passionate. And he wears his heart on his sleeve, and he does everything with his passion. And just see him to see him come from where he was, 16-9 tonight. He was emotional. I was emotional like after the game. Like I think he wants to get in the NCAA tournament so bad. Like it was something he knows is his last shot, and he knows what this game meant. He knows what this game meant, and that's why I just wanted to, embrace him hard like a son.
Man, that's why I came here. Again, like I have trouble, explaining that because of all the emotions that come behind it, but that's why I came here, and I'm glad we were able to do it.
Pretty cool moment for Rivaldo Suarez. Oklahoma with a 20-win regular season, first time since 2016.
Yep.
Wow. I mean, it's been a while, and it's also been a while since Oklahoma's been dancing. It seems like that is kind of the thought process. It seemed like it was like a not a championship by any means, but after the game, and we're right by the Oklahoma locker room, that was a very boisterous, joyful, group that I think kind of realized maybe that dream is coming. They are going to be in the NCAA tournament as an at-large bid.
Yeah, I mean, they just couldn't have this type of loss in this time of the season.
Sure.
And they were able to avoid it. They were able to avoid the Bedlam loss and the Cincinnati loss. Those were the two, because then you would have had to do things that maybe when you're full strength, you might have a better chance against some of these teams. But being as shorthanded as they've been, it's going to be hard to win some of those tougher games. The goal for the next week and a half, just get healthy for the tournament run.
What seed are they right now projected as?
8 or
NCAA?
9.
Yeah.
8 or 9.
Yeah.
And 8 or 9 in the Big 12, too.
8 or 9 in the Big 12, 8 or 9 in the NCAA tournament. I think that Lenardi had him at a 10 maybe going into the game yesterday.
So they might be a 9 today. I
Sure.
don't know if he's doing daily updates.
I think we're about to
yet.
that time of the year.
We've got to be close
We got
to
conference
it.
tournaments going on right now.
Yes.
A-Sun last night. So it will be very important for Oklahoma to get JV and McCollum healthy. That was, obviously a surprise when you show up to the arena last night and you walked over. He's like, "Did you see him during warm-ups?" I was like, "No, I didn't even look. I didn't know that I was supposed to be looking."
Exactly.
Well, it was, certainly something that Porter Moser talked about after the game. Here he is kind of explaining what the shoulder injury and how it happened for JV and McCollum.
So it happened yesterday. I mean, crazy. You were just, you go very light. We were going to go, about 15, 20 minutes live on some offensive things in the game plan, 15, 20 minutes live on defense to go in the game plans. Then there's a lot of walkthrough, a lot of shooting. But you got, because you took the day before physically off, Sunday after the Houston game, how physical that was. So Monday you had to get a little work in, and it was just kind of a freak thing on his shoulder. And we were waiting and seeing today, because the X-rays turned out negative. Everyone thought it was, and it just was sore in the morning from, and he couldn't have a range of motion. So, we weren't going to push it if he'd have no range of motion. So, and so we'll know more. I think it's day to day. So we'll see. I mean, everything structurally fine. There's nothing in the X-rays. It's just getting that range of motion and strength back.
That does sound positive. I would probably be a little bit surprised if he wasn't able to play Saturday in the regular season finale down in Austin. We did get an update on John Hughley as well on Monday. Basically, they hope. I think that's all you can do right now to get him back from the knee injury.
Yep. I mean, and that's kind of what Porter said last week, too. It's like it feels like it's ahead of schedule. He's responding very, very well, but we didn't expect him last week. We don't expect him this week.
Sure.
I wouldn't expect him in Kansas City.
No, I think that the next time,
have to-
if you see him,
Yes.
would be in the NCAA tournament.
Exactly. So
And that would probably be about, 4 weeks since he's had that operation?
maybe.
That'd be nice. It'd be a nice little bonus if they're able to get him, going and obviously healthy enough to play. So there it is. Oklahoma 20-10 right now, 8-9 in the conference. Seems like everything's pretty good. That was a kind of a great win in a night that Cincinnati did their best to hand it to them. It was crazy. I don't know what else to say. We will see. We'll catch up next week, probably early next week.
Yes, indeed.
Checking back in on the men's stuff with the Big 12 tournament ahead, and have to figure out after games on Saturday and obviously some games tonight on Wednesday where everything is at as far as seeding. But 8 or 9, and as strange as it is, maybe playing Texas again up in Kansas City, Mo.
Very possible. We got TCU, BYU, a lot of teams kind of in that hunt, and I don't know what a 4-team tiebreaker might look like in this conference.
Well, the good thing is neither does the Big 12 probably. We've already gone through that tiebreaker stuff.
They'll change the tiebreaker rules on you.
It will be interesting to see what happens with Dylan DeSue too after the injury on Monday night down in Waco. So knee injury sounded like a sprain. It was one of those that looked a lot worse than I think it probably actually was, which is good news.
Want to talk some women's hoops?
Let's talk some women's hoops. We did get some news. The regular season's over. Oklahoma loses to Kansas last Saturday. They still are the number 1 seed going into Kansas City on Saturday. They won't play until 1:30 Saturday, waiting the winner of OSU TCU, correct?
That is correct.
Damn, I'm good.
2 teams that have really gone through a lot of injuries this year. OSU's lost several players. TCU famously had to ask a bunch of volleyball players to come play. I expect OSU to win that game. TCU's not been playing well. They just don't have the numbers or the depth or really the talent right now. Like I said, they're playing volleyball players on their team right now. But, Oklahoma, that they went down to Lawrence, didn't play very well. I think it was
Seems like a Kansas team that's playing decently well, just from what I could
they are
gather while listening to the game, driving down to Dortmund.
And they're trying to make a run. Like they're trying to make a final push. I think they're kind of on the bubble right now. They're trying to get into the NCAA tournament, so they're trying to play well their final home game. And Oklahoma, I mean, as much as you want to continue, and I'm sure Jenny Baranczyk would sit here and be like, we don't care that we already won the Big 12.
Sure.
You want to win every game. But, I mean, it is a little bit of an emotional letdown after winning the Big 12 on your home court in the fashion that they did against Texas. But they're still, I think, a really, really going to be a tough team to beat. They moved up in the polls still. They went up from 20 to 19. So, still have a lot of
That was on
respect.
the midweek win over Texas that clinched the outright. Jenny Baranczyk, Coach of the Year in the Big 12.
Yep.
Co-Player of the Year, Skylar Vann, I believe the fourth Oklahoma Sooner to win that award.
First since Courtney Paris, I believe.
It's crazy that it's been that long since they've had a
Player
of the Year.
I mean, at least I remember Courtney Paris thinking the world of her back then. And not to say I don't of Skylar Vann, but to say Skylar Vann is in that same category of Courtney Paris, it just tells you how good Skylar Vann has been for them this year. She's sharing it with Madison Booker, who, if you watched OU play Texas this year, Madison
really good.
Booker is going to be a problem for many years. I mean, she's only a true freshman. But then Peyton Verhulst, who's really been kind of the key these last few weeks for Oklahoma. She wins Big 12 Newcomer of the Year coming over from Louisville. She's just been phenomenal for them down the stretch. And then Sahara Williams and Nevaeh Tott both get honorable mentions. So plenty of awards to go around for them.
It's wild to think where this thing is at for Jenny Baranczyk's team, coming off of a year in which they've lost 5 players, some notable players. And I think that we've kind of rehashed everything that they've had to battle here over the first set of non-conference play, losing the games, kind of getting digging themselves a little bit of a hole. But since Big 12 play has started, it's been quite a run for them.
Yeah, 15-3 in conference.
It's crazy.
It's not an easy conference.
I think they were, if they would have won Saturday in Lawrence, it would have been only the second time, I believe, that Oklahoma had won 16 games in a conference season.
It's insane, and you're going back to early years with Sherry Cole and years that they made the Final Four. That's how good this team's been. So I think these, the Big 12 tournament's big for them because they're sitting right now at a 5 seed. I think they're pretty securely a 5 seed. Now, if they can go win a couple games or go win the Big 12, maybe they move up to a 4, maybe even a 3. If you go win the Big 12 tournament, which is going to be difficult to do because Texas is playing really good basketball right now. They're on the other side of the bracket. You've got West Virginia, who beat Oklahoma this year. Baylor is really good. And so it's a difficult conference. Iowa State's been playing good basketball.
That's who Oklahoma would match up with, being the 4 seed in the semifinals if they're able to get through their opener on Saturday.
Yep. And so I think if they win 2 games, they'll move up to a 4 seed. And then if they win the tournament, I think they're definitely a 4 seed, maybe even a 3 seed, which would be a huge benefit. Like we've said, they've been the last 2 years, they've won 1 game in the NCAA tournament. I think now the next step for Jenny's crew is trying to get to the Sweet 16, which I think this team, if they can keep playing the way they do, they're a tough matchup. And if they shoot the ball well, that's really the key. And I know that sounds simple, but for them, I mean, there's sometimes they are just on fire, and other nights they just don't have it.
Yeah, and being able to play at home is a force. I mean, a lot of times, like an 8-9, 4-5, like, well, that doesn't really matter. In women's, yes, if you're the 4 seed and you don't have to go anywhere, that's a world of a difference compared to being a 5 seed.
I think I saw in the one of the second to last projection they had Oklahoma possibly playing Drake, which would storyline plenty with Jenny Baranczyk coming from Drake. But should be interesting. Big 12 women's basketball tournament starting this weekend. I guess really, truly this week, but Oklahoma won't be playing until 1:30 on Saturday to kind of kick off what will be a week of extravaganza, if you will, in Kansas City for the men's and the women's tournament. Last weekend, we went down to Love's Field, and the weekend was awesome. Friday was fantastic. Love's Field is incredible, but we can't bury the lead here. The 71-game winning streak comes to an end on Sunday with a 7-5 loss to Louisiana in 8 innings. Unbelievable.
I'm going to give ourselves
to just get there to extra innings.
A little bit of shout-outs. One to George, Miami, Ohio, home runs.
Yeah.
It showed up.
Yeah.
It showed, apparently their power can translate when you get to Norman.
Yeah.
And then the one thing that I said in every appearance last week, balancing the emotions. We know OU's probably the best team in the country, but how are you going to balance the emotion of the ceremony and the games and not knowing what the field plays like? That obviously played a much bigger role than what we might have first thought. And so now it's you hit the reset button again. I mean, we know they did not play well Sunday. Made a lot of fielding errors, which just doesn't happen. If maybe the hitting's not working, but the defense is always on point to keep you in the game, and that just did not occur Sunday. They still found a way to get it to extra innings, and then the magic finally ran out, breathe a bit, hit reset, go back to work.
Does it feel like almost, and in the moment, I'm sure it didn't feel this way. I'm sure they were, they were mad with themselves and all that, but I think in some way it has to feel a little bit like a weight off their shoulder.
Oh, 100%. We had Jada Coleman on the radio program on Monday morning, and she literally said that.
Yeah.
It feels like the weight of the world's off our shoulders now. We can just go play. I think that thing, as it continued to go, even as much as, Kinsey Hansen and those girls will tell you that they don't talk about it or that it never comes up, it's in the back of everybody's mind. I think it was in the back of everybody's mind going into the bottom of the first on Friday when they gave up the 3 runs to Miami of Ohio. So it was a hell of a run. I think it's unprecedented. I don't know if there's going to be another softball team that's able to get to that point, but just a tremendous, tremendous, run and what that was.
Yeah, and that's what Patty's message was on Tuesday. It's like, one game doesn't define us. We know what we need to do. We're going to bounce back. We'll come back. We're way too good. These seniors have been through way too much to start moping around or start questioning themselves or doubting whether or not they are this good. But appreciate the history. Appreciate what you just did. Don't be sad about it. It was a tremendous run. Now let's reset. Let's figure out what we need to do. Because her message for the last couple weeks has been, we're being good enough to win, but we're not playing at a high level.
Sure.
That's got to change.
Also, I was also just going to say that, I think that we need to celebrate that because I feel like in the moment, everybody's like, man, I can't believe they lost to Louisiana.
It was shocking.
But
it was shocking.
Like, looking back at that run, I mean, the amount of games, you think back to last year, the comeback against Texas, the Bedlam comeback late in the season. Obviously, Stanford in the Women's College World Series at Clemson.
Come on. Yeah.
They had so many different games that allowed them to keep that streak alive. But one thing we've buried the lead here, and I think Carrie, our producer, has been trying to hint at it here, Eddie, is you catching a foul ball on Friday.
It was an athletic, it was just an athlete making plays is what it was, and I credit myself for that.
Yeah. And that's the ball right there, right? Is that the original ball?
We'll tell everybody that's the original ball.
Sure.
That they took the ball away. I didn't know they did that at softball games,
Yep.
but they took the ball away and they gave me this, I don't know, I guess it's kind of like a softer softball, but yeah, it was a very athletic feat, and I appreciated everybody.
No surprise.
That stopped and
should be no surprise.
told me thank you for basically my services as I left the ballpark on Friday afternoon.
Yeah,
it was cool. The stadium, I thought it was going to be awesome. I thought it was going to be really nice. It blew me away.
It was incredible. I mean, we haven't seen the inside of the facilities and all the batting cages and the locker rooms that I'm sure are going to be amazing. But just walking around, I mean, Bob, you were there all weekend. It was spectacular. I've never seen anything quite like that. The scoreboard lived up to the hype. I thought it looked awesome. I saw some people saying, oh, it's not big enough. I'm like, when you get out there, it's pretty big.
Just stop
Stop
complaining.
it.
Yeah,
It's one of the nicest places in the country.
It was funny,
regardless of sport, I would even say.
Yeah, it was funny too because I was out there a few hours after the ceremony and a few hours before first pitch, and they're still putting bleachers in the outfield.
Yeah.
And so, but the crowd, I think they broke the record crowd.
Just over 14,000, I think, for the weekend experience over at Loves Field.
And it's something they had to adjust to, and it's something I never would have thought about that. But how much bigger, how much louder that crowd was, and feeling that they're on top of you a heck of a lot more. And Patty mentioned that too. It's like, we'll adjust. Like, we're not complaining. We're not complaining about Loves Field and what this look, but we have to adjust. We'll get there. It won't be a problem, and you'll see us at our best.
It's going to be new for everybody. Oklahoma back in action on Wednesday night, Texas A&M Commerce. We will pray for them and everything that may come, with the trip up to Norman. At least I guess they get to tell people they played at Loves Field. And then Big 12 play starts this weekend, Iowa State.
And they were the first team last year that really used the one pitcher every inning type of tactic to try to disrupt the Sooners' rhythm. And Patty knows Iowa State's always got something up their sleeve, but I think this week, if more than any other, It's just about OU figuring out what it needs to do. And because they're struggling so much. But they're just figuring out, okay, where do we go from here to get to playing at the level that we know we should be playing?
Any concern with Tiare at shortstop?
For me,
that seems to be the question. Does
Yeah.
Oklahoma have a defensive problem?
For me, yes. For me, yes. I told you, I've said repeatedly I didn't think so. But this last weekend was the first time where I thought she was really tested a bunch.
Yeah.
And she's okay. But if you've got something better, you might tinker. It's a very interesting dilemma to sort of go about. Do you put your best fielding team out there, or do you put your best offensive team that just happens to field too? And would you move her back to second? A lot of the message board will tell us that Avery Hodge is more suited to play short, or some people saying move Elisa Brito to short, Alina Torres the third. We'll see if Patty makes any sort of moves. The big moves that she was trying to do last weekend was Jada Coleman in the 9-hole. Just kind of maybe some of these seniors. It's how do you motivate these seniors that all they know is winning national championships to be with it every single game in their senior year? And I think that's sort of the challenge and the goal is to get them mentally focused every single day.
It's also clear to me, at least after this weekend, Kelly Maxwell's their best pitcher.
I think it's Kirsten Deal.
Ooh.
Kirsten. She's
good
the next
problem to
one.
have.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't know. I didn't think Carly Keeney had her best weekend.
Oh, absolutely not.
Nicole May obviously
Sure.
gave up the big runs, the big home runs against Miami, Ohio. But I'm with Bob. It's either Maxwell or Deal for
Because
me.
it
right
was
now.
Maxwell in game 2 on Friday, but then
And
on
then
Sunday
she didn't play as
she
well,
was it's 3-0 in the fourth because Kelly was in the circle. It's
One thing's
this
clear
is
though.
not
That
supposed to happen.
one thing I was talking to my dad about this because he was at the game on Sunday, and he made a good point. He goes, and this, it's a good point, but it's an obvious point. They have Jordy Ball. They win that game because even if she doesn't start that game, she can come down. Like when you tie the game up and you go to extras, Jordy's the one you would call and say she's just going to shut shit down.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they can't. Louisiana's not going to be able to do anything, and that they just didn't have somebody that could come in and just shut everything down for Louisiana when the game got tight.
And that's what we've said. They've got a great.
And that doesn't mean
they've
they
got
can't-
a good staff. Borderline great, but do they have that elite pitcher in the moment that can just go
And
out
I don't think
get
that
the
means that. I'm not saying they can't go win a national championship with
Sure,
this staff.
sure.
I think they definitely can. It's just
There's
it's
levels to this.
They're going to
There
have to
is.
do it a different way,
Yes.
maybe, because Jordy Ball. She was phenomenal last year, at least especially in the postseason. She just shut teams down, and I'm not sure if they have that. Maybe they do somewhere. Maybe Deal becomes that person. But right now, it just seems like they don't have a Jordy Ball, which is no one does.
Not even Nebraska.
Not even Nebraska right now.
Unfortunately. So, all right, that's going to be it for today. Make sure you're checking out Soonerscoop.com, the dollar promo right now for a month of Soonerscoop.com. And I don't think that there's probably going to be a busier month than what we have here over the next 30, 40 days with basketball entering March Madness, both sides. Softball, baseball with a good win on Wednesday to get back in the good graces of the win column after a less than stellar weekend out in Las Vegas. I told somebody with the baseball program, you're not the first people to ever leave Las Vegas feeling a little lost, feeling a little lighter in the pocketbook, and maybe I have a headache because of the way that the events went.
Yeah. I go there in a couple weeks for a bachelor party.
For March Madness?
Yep, for March Madness. It's going to be awesome.
Thursday, Friday?
Yeah. But if you do have $1, make sure you spend it on Sooner Scoop.
Or DM me and turn that $1 into $20 maybe with a couple parlays
you do,
today on the
you do
A-Sun
have
games.
you have some good picks for college basketball, don't you?
I do two things right now. I watch college basketball and I catch foul balls.
There you go.
And we're all out of foul balls. Because we'll have to be over at baseball. I was going to say something else. Never mind. Congratulations, everybody. You made it through another episode of the Hoops Report / a little bit of stickball. We will be back at it next week. We'll all three be headed over to the stadium on Wednesday. Talk Brent Venables. Get spring football began. What?
Beginning.
There
Shut
you
up.
go.
We'll talk
Monday.
to you next time.